explosive scenes brewing at Ibrox, Jordan Henderson topping the wish list, and believe it or not, Luka Modric linked with a shock move to Glasgow, Rangers battling Celtic for Oskar Fallenius, and there's serious transfer firepower on standby. And the managerial race, it's neck and neck, Davide Ancelotti versus Steven Gerrard. But there's a twist you won't see coming. There's loads happening. We're diving into all of it. Stay till the end. You can't miss this. Steven Gerrard, the man who brought Rangers back to the summit of Scottish football, the architect of the Invincibles. And now, his name's being whispered again in the corridors of Ibrox like a hymn of hope. Greg Stewart, part of that magical title-winning side in 2020-21, has stepped forward to say what many of you have been thinking. Gerrard didn't leave because he wanted to. He left because he had to. According to Stewart, Gerrard was promised backing that never came, told he'd get the funds to go toe-to-toe with Europe's best in the Champions League, only to be left empty-handed after that gutting Malmo exit. And when Aston Villa came knocking with their Premier League budget and big ambitions, who could blame him for going? But here's the twist. With the new owners at Rangers, the 49ers Enterprises, pumping in the cash, the game might just be different this time. There's a belief, especially from Stewart, that Gerrard could come back to a club ready to match his ambitions, a club willing to spend, a club desperate to claw back what Celtic have smugly built with 4 in a row. And just listen to Stewart. He's adamant Gerrard's the obvious choice. He's not interested in fancy names like Davide Ancelotti or Russell Martin. He's seen what Gerrard can do, the discipline, the presence, the standards, the swagger. He remembers that awful Scottish Cup defeat to Hearts in 2020 and how Gerrard looked like a broken man, only to rally the troops, come back stronger, and lead Rangers to one of the most dominant title wins in Scottish football history. 38 games unbeaten, total domination. Now, there's talk of a dream team, Gerrard with Stephen Davis by his side, possibly even Michael Beale back in a coaching role. That spine of staff who know Ibrox, know what it means and know how to win here. And Stewart, he's all for it. But here's the million-pound question I want you to answer. If Steven Gerrard does come back, is it a redemption story or a dangerous step backwards that lets Celtic laugh if it all goes wrong? And here's where things get even juicier, as if Steven Gerrard's potential return to Ibrox wasn't already enough to set the place alight. Now, according to the Daily Mirror, dated the 28th of May, Gerrard has already picked his top target if he's handed the Rangers job, and it's none other than his old Liverpool comrade, Jordan Henderson. Yes, you heard that right. Henderson, now 34, currently playing for Ajax and still pulling the strings in midfield at a high level, is the man Gerrard wants to build his Ibrox revival around. The pair have remained tight ever since their days captaining Liverpool, and now the plan is to reunite in Glasgow. It makes perfect sense from Gerrard's perspective. Henderson is a born leader, a Champions League winner, Premier League captain, and the type of presence that could whip Rangers' dressing room into shape. Think about what that does to the spine of the team. A midfield general who sets standards, commands respect, and leads by example. That's something Celtic simply wouldn't have an answer for. But there's a twist. Henderson's reportedly leaning towards a move to Sunderland, the club where it all began for him, who've just been promoted back to the Premier League. A homecoming to the Stadium of Light. Top-flight football in England, it's an attractive option, no doubt. Still, Gerrard's relationship with him might just tip the scales. The pair aren't just former teammates, they're trusted allies, cut from the same cloth. If Gerrard walks back through the Ibrox doors, don't be surprised if Henderson isn't far behind. Now picture that, Gerrard in the dugout, Henderson bossing the midfield, Celtic looking over their shoulders. But let's throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Would bringing in Jordan Henderson at 34 be a masterstroke of leadership, or a desperate move that shows Rangers are chasing yesterday's heroes while Celtic build for tomorrow? Rangers are being tipped to beat Celtic, yes, beat them, to the signing of Swedish winger Oskar Fallenius. And if that deal comes off, it'll be a statement wrapped in blue. According to Fotboll Direct, both Rangers and Celtic have had scouts watching Fallenius at Gerrard this season, and it's no wonder. The lad's had a breakthrough year, looking sharp before injury halted his momentum. 20 appearances, a couple of goals, and 3 assists might not scream headlines, but the eye test tells you there's a player in there. Direct, quick, confident, the kind that gets you off your seat at Ibrox. Now, here's where it gets tasty. With the 49ers Enterprise's takeover close to being sealed and Andrew Kavanagh stepping into the fold, Rangers suddenly have financial muscle that Celtic didn't expect. The tables might just be turning. This isn't about a modest rebuild. This is about going toe-to-toe with Celtic in every department, scouting, spending, signings, and silverware, and beating them to Fallenius. That's the kind of first punch in the transfer market that sends a message. You think about the hole Vaclav Cerny's exit has left on that right side. Fallenius fits that gap like a glove. Add in the looming appointment of a new manager, possibly Gerrard, and the pieces are clicking into place for something big at Ibrox. If Rangers do win the race for Oskar Fallenius, would you celebrate it as a genuine power shift? Or is fighting over a little-known Swedish winger just a distraction while Celtic keep winning league titles? Right, buckle up. If the Steven Gerrard chatter had your ears twitching, this next one might just blow the roof off Ibrox. Luka Modric, yes, that Luka Modric, Ballon d'Or winner, 6-time Champions League champion, midfield sorcerer, and living legend of Real Madrid, was being genuinely linked with a move to Rangers. Let that sink in for a moment. It all kicked off with serious reports from BBC Sport, Goal.com, and echoed across Europe that Davide Ancelotti, son of the great Carlo, has become the frontrunner to take over as Rangers manager. The 35-year-old has held in-depth talks with club officials in London and impressed with his footballing vision, a mix of modern tactical innovation and that famous Italian composure. Now, here's where the fairy tale began. With Ancelotti Jr. in pole position, whispers started to swirl that he'd spoken to Modric, yes, spoken, about the possibility of coming to Ibrox. And according to Guillem Balag, when Modric was asked about joining Rangers, Gavin, he didn't say no. That right there was enough to spark a storm of hope. Could Modric, age 39, be about to grace the Scottish Premiership in the twilight of his glittering career? Could we actually see him strutting about in the blue of Rangers, bossing midfields from Kilmarnock to Pittodrie, turning our game into his own stage? But, and here comes the needle to the balloon, Balag later clarified that Modric will not be joining Rangers. He explained that the conversation with Ancelotti was more about the type of access and connections the young coach has, and not about any serious intent to move. Basically, Modric didn't laugh it off, but he's not packing his bags for Govan either. Still, let's not ignore the wider point here. Davide Ancelotti could open doors to names that Rangers haven't had the right to dream about in years. The Italian might be untested as a head coach, but his status, his contacts, and the sheer ambition he brings, backed by the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh, could change everything. Even if Modric won't be landing at Glasgow Airport, the fact we're even in that conversation is a massive shift. Would you take Davide Ancelotti as manager only for the sake of his connections, even if it means risking another inexperienced name in the dugout while Celtic keep cruising? Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon.